He never threatened me, never raised his voice, never did anything the police could technically call a crime. And that is exactly what made him the most terrifying person I have ever encountered. I used to be the kind of person who liked being invisible. Night shift at a gas station off County Road 11. No customers, no noise, no drama. Just me, the fluorescent lights, and the highway. That was exactly how I wanted it, until it wasn't. It started on a Thursday night, around 1 a.m. The air outside was wet and still. The overhead lights had been buzzing all shift, that low, constant hum you stop hearing after an hour, until suddenly it's the only thing you can hear. I was about to microwave a cinnamon roll I didn't even really want when the door chimed. A man walked in, mid-40s, maybe older, green coat, messy hair, dry, chapped lips. He didn't head for the coffee, didn't grab chips or check the coolers. He just stopped and looked at me, the way you look at someone you already know. "Hi," I said, polite, professional. "You always work this late," he said. I blinked. Yeah, mostly." He smiled, slow. I figured. I've passed through a few times. Noticed it's always you. I looked back down at the counter. "Small town," I said. Then he said my name. "Meredith, right?" I went completely still. I was not wearing a name tag. I never wore one on night shifts. There was no reason to. It was just me, the dark, and whoever wandered in off the highway. Before I could ask how he knew, he nodded toward the whiteboard behind me, where I'd written cinnamon coffee as back in big looping letters. "Nice handwriting," he said. "Most people dot their I's with circles. You use little slashes. Very specific. Thoughtful." I said nothing. He didn't buy anything. He just stood there, watching me. Not aggressively, not with any obvious threat, just watching. Like I was something he was cataloging, something he was filing away. Then he nodded once. "I'm Paul, just curious, that's all." And he walked out into the fog. It wasn't until the door closed behind him that I noticed it. A smell that had been in the air the whole time. Faint but wrong. Sweet and floral. A woman's perfume. Coming from him, I told myself it was nothing. Small town coincidence. A harmless, slightly odd man. I was wrong. After that night, Paul started showing up. Not every night. Never enough to feel obvious. Never enough to give me something solid to point to. But often enough that I stopped calling it coincidence somewhere around the third week. Sometimes he'd come inside, buy a bottle of water, linger at the counter longer than he needed to. Sometimes he'd just park at the far edge of the lot, headlights off, engine quiet, just sitting there, watching. One night he came in and set the water on the counter without a word. "You're quieter tonight," he said. "Long shift," I muttered. He looked around the store slowly, not browsing, mapping. His eyes moved from the door to the windows to the back hallway like he was memorizing the layout. "It must get lonely," he said. "Just you out here in the dark. No one else for miles." "I'm fine," I said. He leaned on the counter. "You ever get scared, being a woman alone at night?" His voice wasn't threatening. It wasn't aggressive or loud or sharp. It was curious, calm, like he was asking about the weather. That is what made it so much worse. I stepped back. "Do you need anything else?" He tilted his head. "You always keep the back room locked." "Smart. I've noticed you check it around 2 a.m. almost every night." My stomach turned over completely. "I'll let you get back to it," he said, with a soft, almost apologetic smile. "Didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." Then he left. That night, I started walking to my car with my keys between my fingers. I kept a tire iron under the counter. I changed the curtains in my apartment. Started locking the bathroom door even when I was home alone, even when I knew with absolute certainty that no one else was there. One night, about 2 weeks after I changed the curtains, I was lying in bed when I heard something outside my window. A soft sound, barely there, like the slow drag of a shoe on pavement. I didn't move for a long time. Eventually I got up and checked. There was nothing there, just the empty street and the wind moving through the trees. But I didn't sleep that night, or the next one, because it didn't matter that nothing was there. The damage was already done. He had reached inside my home without ever setting foot in it. Then came the week he disappeared completely. 7 days without seeing his car, without hearing the door chime and feeling my stomach drop. I started breathing again. Started leaving work without checking the parking lot 3 times. Started thinking maybe it was over. Maybe he had moved on. Maybe I had imagined how bad it was. On the 8th day, I came back from my 10-minute break and found a Polaroid sitting on the counter. It was a photograph of me, taken from outside, from the side of the building. It showed me refilling the windshield washer fluid bin behind the station. From that distance, that angle, that close. There was no note, but on the bin's label, on the word windshield, someone had circled the dot of the letter I in red ink. The same handwriting detail he had pointed out the very first night. He had not moved on. He had just wanted me to think he had. He was leaving me a message. "I see you. I have always seen you." The next time he walked in, I told him to leave. I told him if he stayed, I was calling the police. Paul just nodded slowly. I get it. I've been too forward. You've been following me, I said. My voice cracked on the last word. I hated that it did. I just think, he said quietly, that you're the kind of person who's used to being misunderstood. I thought maybe you'd appreciate someone who actually pays attention. That's not paying attention, I said. That's obsession. Something changed in his face, just for a second. Just a flicker, like a light bulb dimming before it steadies again. His eyes went somewhere else entirely, somewhere I couldn't follow and didn't want to. Then it was gone, and he was calm again, tilting his head like I'd said something mildly interesting. Would it be easier if I smiled more? Brought a soda every night? Would I seem more normal if I talked about sports and pretended I didn't notice that your shoes are always a half size too big, or that your left eyelid twitches when you're tired? I was already dialing 911. He didn't try to stop me, didn't move, didn't raise his voice. He just stood there with his hands at his sides and waited, like this was something he had already rehearsed in his head 100 times. The police came fast. He didn't resist. He stood in the parking lot completely calm, arms loose, watching the officers approach with that same quiet, patient expression he always had. They searched his car. Inside, they found a notepad. Pages and pages of dates and times. My schedule written out in neat, careful columns. Notes about my walk, what I wore each night, what groceries I carried from my car, what time I turned off which lights. And one page, just one, that had nothing on it but my name. Meredith, written over and over and over again, in tighter and tighter loops, spiraling inward, until the letters collapsed into each other and became something that wasn't writing anymore. Just pressure, just marks on paper. Then they checked the glove box. Inside was a small Ziploc bag. Inside the bag was a single earring, small, silver, shaped like a crescent moon. It did not belong to me. The officers went quiet when they found it. Nobody said anything. Nobody explained why. He told them the same thing over and over, completely calm. I just notice things. I'm a curious guy. The restraining order went through that week. I don't work nights anymore. I don't even live in the same town. The company transferred me 2 hours away, and I took it without hesitating for a single second. But even now, 2 hours away, different roads, different lights, different life. When I'm driving home late, and I notice headlights behind me that have been there a little too long, I don't check the rearview mirror right away, because part of me is terrified that if I do, I'll see him back there, sitting in that car, watching me through the glass with that same calm, patient expression, already knowing exactly where I'm going. They never identified the earring. Nobody ever came forward. I try not to think about what that means. We all pass people like Paul every single day. We just never notice them noticing us. The door chime doesn't exist anymore. Not for me. Not in any building I walk into. But sometimes, late at night, when everything is completely still, I still hear it. You made it to the end. Most people don't. If this got under your skin, drop a comment below. Tell me what scared you most. Subscribe to Nightmares Theatre and keep your doors locked. We'll see you next time.